Hey, John Reynolds with Render Safe Training and Consulting. Welcome to Module 3 of Workplace Violence Prevention Program. This is a very short module, 5 actual slides, and this is going to cover the non-imminent response for employees, management, and includes consulting with law enforcement. We'll spend some significant time on one of the slides before moving on to Module 4 as well. So, the non-imminent threat. There is no immediate danger of violence, but it could involve disruptive behavior, threats, injury, psychological trauma, stress, and troubling behavior. And this could be the person that comes into your business front office and they're just making things uncomfortable for you. This could be the employee, it could be an employee, former employee, where there's no actual extreme violence requiring necessary action like evasive measures. Okay, so with this, there's really a few different methods, um, courses of action that you're going to take as the employee. You're going to notify your supervisor, you're going to notify security, you're going to notify site safety if that is appropriate and written into your guideline, or you might end up notifying law enforcement. It might be not in any specific order. If you're working in the front lobby of a business and you have a difficult person, you might contact your supervisor first, or if you have security on site, routinely, you might be calling them as well simultaneously, one after the other. And it might be your supervisor or security who can't deal with that particular person and they need to notify law enforcement. You might find yourself and it be your responsibility to contact law enforcement directly and then follow up by contacting your supervisor. Regardless of what it is, you're probably going to take one of these 4 actions over here, and that's going to be it. If you're out in the field and dealing with clients, and there's a problem with one of your clients, you're going to get yourself out of that situation so that it does not escalate. Not be confrontational yourself, as that could flare things up even more. But once you get separation from that individual, then you're going to either make that phone call to your supervisor, and if a crime has been committed, that will be the threshold usually for notifying law enforcement. Not too much to that. It's very simple, very straightforward. Regardless of where you work, your workplace violence prevention plan will tell you this is the expectation as you, the employee. On the management side, you're going to receive that complaint. You're going to get notified of that, and you're going to have to take necessary action immediately to ensure the safety of your employee. That's the paramount primary focus right here. Once that's done, you are going to document the who, what, when, why, where it happened, and develop an immediate action plan and implement that plan as well. You may have to separate 2 different employees from working the same shift, or the same, maybe not the same shift, but the same department, same area, at least temporarily. You may, while you investigate the complaint further, you may have to send somebody home on paid administrative leave where they're getting paid, but while you're figuring things out and determining the best course of action beyond that. Regardless of what you're going to do, once you implement your plan, you're going to monitor to see if it's working. If it's not, make adjustments. If it is working, allow it to continue working. Just monitor. And those that in your management should know what's going on with the employees as well so that they can pay attention as well. As we look at law enforcement consulting, we need to ensure that if there's any of these 4 circumstances, law enforcement is involved. Any plans of your employees that relate to suicide, where they're talking about suicide or making, talking about it, making plans for it, have attempted it, uh, get law enforcement on board with this. If they're starting to talk about plans of violence, it doesn't have to be towards coworkers. This could be violence towards another person, a family member perhaps. That's another law enforcement consult. I'm going to skip down. You've had incident in the workplace already. You need to notify us as well. And then, of course, behaviors that cause concern about self-harm or violence. And when I say behaviors, this is not crimes that can be reported necessarily. These are behaviors that just make you concerned and make you scratch your head sometimes. And I'll use the analogy. Obviously, I'm in law enforcement. And so if I was working with any of you, you would know that I probably possess and have guns. And if I had told you that I had just purchased a gun or just acquired a gun and took it to the range and went shooting, you probably wouldn't think anything of it. It's probably, you would probably expect that of me. But if I wasn't somebody that knew anything about guns, ever talked about guns, wasn't in law enforcement, I just worked side by side with you. You knew my baseline behavior, and all of a sudden I told you, hey, last week I came home and found out that my wife had left me, pretty distraught over it. She took everything I own, and I went to my brother's house, and he has a couple guns, so I got a gun from him, and I went shooting at the range to practice with it. My question to you is, would you have any concern over that change of behavior? Why or why not? And hopefully you're saying, well, yes, because I'm not normally talking about guns and now I'm mentioning it. And your concern would probably be harm to others, not self-harms. I don't need to go to a shooting range to get good at shooting to take my own life. But if I'm shooting at the shooting range, maybe I'm going to be focusing my aggression on somebody else at some point. And yes, there's always maybe that's a good way to blow off some stress, because that is something that someone might do. But it also should result in some follow-up conversation like, hey, John, why did you go shooting at the range? Why did you get the gun? And if I say, well, I want to blow off stress, it's a great way. I have friends that shoot. Well, that might answer that question and take away the concern. But I might otherwise make a comment, well, I'm not handling this well, and she's not going to get away with what she did to me, or my wife hurt me a lot. And a comment like that might really get you thinking. Not necessarily a crime yet, but this is when we want to get law enforcement to consult with us as an HR, where you can share your concern with the law enforcement side. Law enforcement say, hey, this is what we're seeing out here. And we've had contacts or no contacts. That way, the best collective safety measure can be put into place. And an ultimate goal for any of these up here with suicide plans, plans of violence, incidents of violence, or just concerning behavior, is that we take this employee and get them off the pathway to violence if they're headed that way, get them the help they need so they can be productive individuals in society and at work, and prevent a VTA type shooting like we had with Samuel Cassidy. So quick few slides there, and we'll take a break from this and jump right back into Module 4. Thank you.